Well, hey there. Welcome to the People Gardener podcast. I'm Rhonda Delaney, your host, also known as the People Gardener. Excited because I actually have 2 episodes planned. My guest today, Adrienne Farrow, welcome.
Thank
She,
you.
she is a Google expert. And so when we were doing our pre a podcast interview, we decided that, you know what? This needs to be a 2 episode. We're going to do an overview Google for this first one, but then the following episode is going to be more specifically, make sure I have this right, on the Google Workspace of all of the different tools that Google has to make your life easier and more streamlined as a small business owner. Yes, no?
Definitely. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do.
Okay, well, we're going to get right into it. Adrienne, start us off and educate us about Google itself.
Sounds good. Well, first of all, my name is Adrienne Farrow, and I'm a Google Tools Specialist and Technology Coach. And I am a Google certified trainer. So I spent most of my time in education first, being in the classroom with students, helping to pioneer Google tools, and then made a transition online to working primarily with online entrepreneurs and adults on how to be productive with Google tools. So looking at not only how to set up Google, but create systems in Google so that you can save time, and also some of the cool things that Google can do that you may or may not know about. So I'm really passionate about Google for a couple reasons. One, it is by far the most popular platform for people to be on in general, but in businesses as well. Way about 10 times more people use Google than Microsoft in regards to their business emails and things like that. So I think that a lot of times we sign up for Google not quite knowing what exactly it entails, what you can do with it, how you might want to features you might want to look at and set up and things like that. So, Rhonda, you use Google, right?
Yep,
For your,
I
yep,
do. I love
yep.
my Google Drive.
Yay! Good, good. And when you set it up and stuff, it was pretty easy, right?
Oh,
To get it going. Yep, yep. Do
what's
you
it,
use?
what's shocked me? I'm still on the freebie, like I'm not
Yep,
paying for any of it, and I think is it 15
15 gigabytes.
15
Yep.
gigabytes that you get? I've
Mhm.
hardly touch that. Yeah, it's amazing how much it holds.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's a good segue into the first part I was going to talk about was free versus paid.
Yeah,
What is the difference? Why consider a paid plan? Okay, started with a free plan, etc. So you can go to Google and sign up for a free Google account. It costs nothing. You get an at gmail.com email address. With that, you get all of the same Google tools. You get your Drive, your Gmail, your calendar. You get, like you said, 15 terabyte, or excuse me, not terabytes, that would be a lot. 15 gigabytes of storage space, which when you get started is plenty to get you going. But if you wanted to go on the paid route, there is what's called Google Workspace, which is used to be called G Suite, or that might ring a bell for some people, but they changed it to Google Workspace. And that is Google's business plan. So that is where any size organization or company can sign up for it. You can be a solopreneur, or you can have a company of hundreds of people. And it starts as little as $7 a month. So pretty inexpensive. And some of the perks of that is that you can get a custom email address. So you can it connects to your domain for your website. And you can get, for me, I have Adrienne at adriennefarrow.com. And so that is, very professional having that attached to your domain. I like to call it a calling card because whenever you're giving out your email address, you're also giving out how to get a hold of you to find your website. You get 30 gigabytes of storage, so it doubles the storage size. But then you also get some cool features like there's shared drives, which if you work with virtual assistants or other people, you can share ownership over files and shared drives. You can get an appointment scheduler now. If you go up to one of the higher tiers of the Google plan, you can actually sign contracts on Google Docs now, which is really cool.
Okay,
So
hold on.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
back up and go to
yeah,
the calendar thing. That
yeah,
tweaked me because currently I have Calendly.
yes,
Or
Calendly, right?
however people
Yep,
pronounce that, right?
Calendly, yep,
And you
yep.
pay, I think it's $150 a year or
Mhm.
something like that, and it's just the calendar, right?
Yep.
And so what you're saying, the $7 a month to move even to the basic, I would have a calendar included,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In
Yep.
my $84, is it a month or a
Yep.
year, instead of
Yep.
the 152. So,
Yep.
that's like not not quite half, 50% saving. Plus I get 15 more gigs of.
Mm-hmm. And a custom email address too. And so with the paid plan, and you actually do have an appointment scheduler, they just added it to the free plan. So if
Yeah,
you go into your free Gmail, you can find it, but you get one. And
right.
that one is you cannot attach payment to it at all. So if you ever have people book calls with you where you want them to pay for that call, you can go up to the $14 a month plan for Google. You get multiple schedulers. So you could have 5, 10 different ways for people to book, and you have a booking page, and then you can actually connect that to Stripe and get paid for your Google calls too. So you would get on that plan, you get 2 terabytes of storage. So you go from
Wow.
15 to 30 to 2 terabytes of storage. And then plus you get the additional features on the appointment scheduling.
The appointment scheduler, do the, how many did you say you could have on
On
the second tier?
on the second there, as far as I know, there's no limit. You can have multiple.
Okay.
There's yeah.
Do they, let's say you've got three, because right now I've got three
Yeah.
on. They all talk to each other. So if somebody books on one, it books off the space on the other. The
Yep.
Google Calendar works the same
Yep.
way.
Yep. So it'll read your Google Calendar. It'll read to see wherever you have the holes of availability. When you set up your the appointment scheduler, you tell it what calendars to look at. So what calendars you want it to read. And then once someone books it, it takes it off the schedule and or not doesn't allow it to be booked there and you move on.
Right. Yeah, because
So
the way I have it set up is the three different ones is a 15-minute, a
mm-hmm,
30-minute, and a 45 minutes.
mm-hmm.
And there's a default of having to have 10 minutes between
Yes.
call, any call that gets booked.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying this operates
Yep.
similar.
Yep, very similar,
Oh,
very similar.
oh,
So there's some small little differences, like Calendly gives you some more customization over your emails when you send it. Google will still send a confirmation email and a reminder email and things like that. But you
yeah,
can connect it to Zoom, you can connect it to Google Meet, you can connect it to like have a phone call in there. You can collect information like you know add extra text boxes to collect additional information. So there's a lot of functionality in it.
right, cool.
So that's one thing to think about kind of at the beginning stages of business is like you can get started totally with a free Gmail account. But if you're brand new, it might be worth looking into the Google Workspace because one of the things that I often run into with people is once they pay for the Google Workspace, then they have to migrate everything over from their free account to their paid account because you can't just upgrade your free Gmail. They're
Mhm.
two separate kind of entities. There are
Right,
ways to move things and whatnot, but I'm an advocate for the paid plan just because you do get quite a bit of additional functionality on it.
right.
So
Huh.
your brain's going.
As just trying to figure out,
Process.
okay, so what makes sense. Were you going to talk about Google Drive in the next?
Yeah, I'm going to dive deep into there, but I was going to go into like the different what's in the components of Google,
Yeah,
like what you get.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
So
carry on.
okay. So when you sign up for a Google account, you get a ton of different Google tools. And most of the tools are the same across the free and the paid. It's just that the paid might give you some extra functionality and such. So the three that are the foundational tools that I call them, I call it the Google trifecta, but it's Google Drive, Calendar, and Gmail. So Google Drive is how you store files. So it's a cloud-based storage service. It will store not only your documents like Google Docs or other things, but it'll store PDFs. It'll store Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. It'll do PDFs, audio files, video files. It pretty much does all the different file formats in Google Drive. So that's one component. And then you have Gmail, which is your email service, which a lot of people are familiar with from maybe having a personal Gmail, operates very much the same. And then Google Calendar is your calendar tool. So you can create events on there and keep track of your day and what's going on and things like that. And then we get into more of the word processing creation kind of tools, and that's Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and Google Forms. So Google Docs is like Microsoft Word. It's a word processing service, all cloud-based. So it's still all within, just on the internet. It's not taking up storage on your computer itself. Sheets is like Excel. It's your spreadsheet. Forms is a survey tool or a way of doing forms and collecting information in some kind of way. There's a variety of different ways to use forms. And then slides is like PowerPoint. It's, you're creating a presentation kind of tool. And then on top of that, there's a couple more productivity tools and a couple extra things. So there's Google Sites that you can actually create a basic website using Google, which is very cool. There's Tasks, which is a to-do list within Google. It's actually attached to your calendar. And then Google Keep is a note-taking app. I like to talk about it as virtual Post-it notes. They look like little squares they put them on a board, and then you can pin certain ones to the top and you can color code them, but it's a way of taking quick notes. And most all of these, actually all of the ones I've talked about, sync with either your mobile phone or your iPad. So they have a app associated with it to make it really easy to use on the go. Sites would not be one that has a mobile app, but the other ones that I talked about all do have a specific mobile app. So that's really helpful for keeping track of things. And then Google likes to throw in some other things, especially now with AI. Google has its own AI system called Gemini, which is available on the free plan too. And then there's upgrades. There's a really cool new tool called Notebook LM, which is a note-taking AI system. And then they just came out one.
Is that like the Otter?
No, not for transcription. Is that
No, it's the AI bot that is often on calls.
Yeah.
That I'm on.
Yeah, it's completely different. So Notebook LM, you upload only your sources to it. So it could be transcripts of calls, it could be writings of some kind, a PDF, whatnot. And then it will help you synthesize that information, come up with some frequently asked questions, some frequent topics. So, but the cool thing about it is it just works with whatever information you have. It doesn't go search the internet to get additional resources. So that's really cool. And then they just came out with one called Google Vids, I believe. I haven't had a chance to play around with it, but it's a new AI video making service, which is kind of cool. So they're always innovating and adding things, but really the core of Google is those three that I talked about first: Drive, Gmail, and Calendar. And then the other top four, which would be Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms. Those are the ones that most people use and are the most familiar with.
Okay, I have a couple of questions here.
Yeah, of course.
The first one is the email. The email address. So on the free plan, you get one. On the paid plans, do you get more than one email address that you
Yes.
The reason I ask is because we've all received these, hello@rondadelaney.com or info@ blah, blah, blah. And it's a great way for companies to actually separate out emails per department, for a different person, that kind of thing. So how does it break out on the paid plans?
Yes. So it's a yes and no answer to that. So yes. So if you have one user on the paid plan, so you pay per user. So you can have multiple accounts if you'd wish. So, for example, for my account, I have 3 users. I have myself, I have a training account, which is training at adriennefarrow.com. And then I also have one for my virtual assistant, which is va at adriennefarrow.com. So I pay $14 a month per each of those users. And each of those users get their own Google Drive, their own email box, their own calendar, and their own storage. So it's 2 terabytes times 3. So
Right.
my whole organization shares actually 6 terabytes of storage, way more than I ever need.
Right.
But within that, each user can create email aliases. And that's what a lot of people end up doing with the Hello and the Info app.
Okay.
And what that means is, like, for mine, Adrienne at adriennefarrow.com, that's my primary email. But I have at least 2, if not more, aliases. So hello at and support at. And those go anytime anyone emails either ones of those, it goes to my Gmail inbox. It goes to my adriennefarrow.com. So it doesn't go to a separate one. It's not a separate user. It doesn't have its own drive. I don't have to pay anything extra for those. It's just taking my primary one and making an alias of it. And you get up to 30 of those per
And so
user.
you can go in and set rules that it actually, you can set up folders and
Mm-hmm.
set up rules that if it says hello, it goes into
Yep.
this. So you
Yep.
have this one massive box filled with
Yes. Yes,
different.
you can get really granular in Gmail and set up labels and filters. And then you can also, in some of the settings, you can set it so that you can send mail as those email addresses too, because by default you'll just receive them, but you can go in there and set it so then you can send mail as those email addresses too. So
Right.
that if someone emails me at support at adriennefarrow.com, I then respond back
Right.
as support. So you're able to do that with up to 30 of them, which is
Wow.
great. And I often also use those for testing too. So like if I'm testing like digital products just to make sure that all the automations are working and
Mhm.
whatnot, I have created like test at adriennefarrow.com, and
Right.
I'll use that. I don't even receive any email to it, or I don't, if you send me email there, I'll get it. But I use the email aliases to give me additional emails to test things with it to make
Right.
sure that it works. So,
Right.
yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to really think about this a little bit further in the year. Hubby, he's gonna be retiring in December. And so not gonna need his business website
Mhm.
or his email, all of that kind of thing, which right now it's Office 365,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Mine is the same, but what you're saying is I think that I could just move everything
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
this.
that's one of the ways that I specialize. So I am a Google referral partner, so I can help set up those workspaces. And I also have a discount codes too, to save 10% off your first year. And then, yeah, that's one of my specialties, is helping to migrate. So getting all of those things that might be in your free Gmail over to a paid space, and making sure everything's talking to each other and things like that. So definitely something I help a lot of people with.
Right. Very,
Uh,
very cool. Okay.
yeah. So you said you had a couple other questions come up.
The other one was on sites.
Yes.
Okay, so you and I are in the online space.
Mhm.
She's in the same group coaching program that I'm in. I'm assuming that this is a page. It's a single page
No,
site, or it's a
no.
multiple page
You can
site.
do multiple page sites. Yes, you can do
Okay,
multiple page sites.
so in our world,
Mhm.
let's say, and even in those small business owners where you have something, it might be your newsletter that you want people to subscribe to, or it might be a little something that you actually sell online. They could create a site, one of these Google
Yeah,
sites that are
Google Sites.
included.
Yeah. So again, my answer is going to be a yes
Yes,
and
and a
no
no. Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
So it's a very light version of a website creator. So I would say it would be great to get someone started, but it's not as robust or professional as maybe a WordPress site or like even a site you could get on Kajabi or something. It's not going to have all those bells and whistles, but it's going to, if you're getting started, it's going to give you that presence that you need right away to send someone to your website.
right,
It's fantastic at integrating with Google, meaning like you can actually embed really super easily like a Google Doc or your Google Calendar there, but it's very blocked. It's one of those things that I recommend like you can get started with, or you can even create like you could create a little site for a client, like as a client portal, or you can create a demo site of you want to give your students all access to certain things. It's not quite like a course portal, but
right.
you could use it in a way to give information. But there's no like you can embed, so you could take from your email marketing provider a code to embed like a way of collecting emails, but there's not going to be like a native way within it that it's going to give
Right.
you that to collect. But you can do multiple pages, you can do sub pages, you can do menus, so you'll have a menu bar, and beneath a page you can have it, have multiple there. So you connect a domain. If it's not your domain, like not the one that you are using as your email address, you can connect several different domains to your Google Workspace and then connect that to a Google site if you wanted to have that be an option.
Cool. Okay, so you got anything
Yeah.
else you want to get in there?
Trying to think of some of the other basics things before we go into the next episode where we're going to dive more deep and I'll go a little bit more granular.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that are really cool within Google that you can do on a business plan. Like I said before, you can have contracts created in Google Docs and actually include signatures, places, and send them as a PDF to collect signatures. So you could ditch something like DocuSign if that's something. There is, oh, I didn't mention this. There is Google Meet, which is like
Oh,
Zoom,
yes.
but for Google. And that is getting more robust and more used, I would say. A lot of people are so used to Zoom after COVID that people aren't as used to Google Meet. I've started to use Google Meet with my students because the AI features that they're putting into there are pretty cool. And I can get a transcript and a recording sent directly to my Google Drive. So I don't have to go in
Nice.
and download it and then transcribe it and things like that. So that's a paid AI feature, but they're coming out with some pretty cool things. And there's also, if you do anything internal with other Google users, there's a chat feature. So you can use Google Chat. So they have, I mean, I like to say Google uses their own tools within
Right,
their own company to run Google.
right.
So, like, if you think about it that way, they're running a multi-billion-dollar company using just their own tools and products. Anytime we do anything in the trainer community, it's with something that Google has created. They're not going to an outside source to make something. And then I guess the last thing I'd say is I estimate you can use Google for about 80% of your tasks that you need to do for your business. The only things that I think Google is lacking that you might want to look for an outside source is that you can't do email marketing within Google. You can send emails, but you can't legally do like big email blasts. It's not an email marketing
Yeah.
system. You can't collect payments outside of that Stripe integration with appointments, so you wouldn't be able to do any checkout pages or anything like that. Like memberships and courses and things like that, you could do like a light version, but if you want something more robust, you'd have to go to some outside tools. And then you can do project management within Google Sheets, like you can create stuff to help you keep going on your project management. But really, even Google tells you, because they tried to do a project management system and it was in beta and then it didn't make it out of beta. And they will even say, hey, that's not our forte. Like, go try something like Asana, Trello, ClickUp. We'll integrate with them rather than we will have it for you. We will integrate with them. And so, oh, I actually just realized I forgot one other tool I should mention,
Okay,
Chrome,
go for
Google
it.
Chrome.
Chrome.
Uh, I never think of it as a tool, but it really is a tool. And I mean, I do teach about it too. That is the internet browser for Google is Chrome. And I know a lot of people use Chrome, and a lot of other people are like, no, I'm a hardcore Safari user. I really like Edge. The only thing I like to say about that is that Google works best with Google. And some of the times I have helped to troubleshoot things because they're in a different browser other than Chrome. And so sometimes when you use Google tools in another browser, then it'll still have some functionality, but it's not, you might have some technical issues. So
Yeah,
Chrome is another Google
I
tool.
use Chrome. I like the extensions.
Me too. Chrome extensions are great. Are great. So yeah, that's Google in a nutshell. That's kind of what to expect with Google, why it's great for business owners, free versus paid. So I hope that's really helpful to everyone to hear that overview.
Yeah, perfect. It is, absolutely. So I'm itching to get into the next episode so that we can dig into a few of
Perfect.
these things. So that's it for this week, folks. We'll talk to you again next week.